Traveling the world does not have to be expensive. In fact, it can be the exact opposite if you know where to go. I've spent the last 8 years traveling through 42 countries, and I'm always looking for the cheapest, most unique experiences. And in this video, I'm going to give you my personal list of my favorite cheap destinations. Be sure to watch the whole video because I'm also going to give you some overpriced, overrated destinations that you should absolutely avoid. Also, let me know your favorite cheap destinations in the comment section below. We're starting off this list with the Philippines. Not only are the Philippines an unbelievably cheap destination, domestic flights for as low as $20, a coconut for 20 cents, but they arguably have some of the most stunning islands and scenery in the entire world. Not to mention, English is widely spoken in this country. If you have never been to Southeast Asia, Philippines has to be on your list. Since we're already in this region and we're talking about Southeast Asia, let's go ahead and hop over to where I currently am, Thailand. Now, Thailand is by no means a secret. Along with Bali, these two are probably the most popular tourist destinations in Southeast Asia, but for good reason. In my personal opinion, Thailand has the best food in the world, usually for around $3 at a restaurant. Street food, only $1. Head up north to the Chiang Mai area, and it's even cheaper. Thailand has everything from nightlife, beaches, diving in the south, to elephant reservations, rice terraces in the north, and don't forget to get a $10 hour-long Thai massage, which are available on every corner. Given everything I just told you, Thailand is still not one of the cheaper countries in Southeast Asia. So we'll come back to this region later in the video, and I'll give you even cheaper countries in Southeast Asia. But for now, let's head over to the Americas. Mexico. Mexico as a whole is on my cheap list. Cancun and Tulum are not. You have two options: super expensive all-inclusive resort you never leave, or a crowded public beach covered in seaweed. Expectation, reality. When I go to Mexico, I want it to feel like Mexico. In Cancun, everyone speaks English, things are overpriced. It feels more like Florida than Mexico. If you still want a beach in Mexico, head across the country to the Pacific, to the state of Oaxaca. There's a small surf town called Puerto Escondido. My house was on the beach, one house back, with a rooftop terrace, $200 a month. Oaxaca City itself has some of the best food in Mexico. It's also home to the world-renowned festival Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. For cheap, delicious food, grab some street tacos, probably around 50 cents each. 2 or 3 of them, I'm good. Simple ingredients, absolutely delicious. Let's travel a little bit farther south to Colombia. Medellin, Colombia was my home for 3 years. Colombia really has everything. Mountains, beaches, beautiful colonial pueblos, or towns. Is a perfect place to learn salsa dancing, Spanish, and it has one of the best digital nomad communities in South America. Medellin, Colombia, for instance, has stable Wi-Fi and all of the amenities that you're probably accustomed to. And of course, coffee. I have no shortage of Colombian videos and footage on this channel if you're interested in this beautiful country. Now, let's hop over to Europe with one of the cheapest capital cities I have visited, Prague. Typically, when you think of capital city in Europe, you might be thinking not so cheap, London, Paris, and you'd be right. The rule of thumb is typically Eastern Europe is cheaper than Western Europe. And for the most part, that's correct. Hang on a minute, I will give you some super cheap spots in Western Europe also. As far as Prague goes, if you're a city person and you like history, architecture, super cheap beer, cheaper than water, then look no further than Prague. I know multiple people who have chosen to live in Prague, and everyone loves this city. Sri Lanka. I need to make an entire series on this country. One of the greenest, most lush destinations I have ever been to. Thousands of elephants roaming the country, even more peacocks. Really, there are literally peacock crossing signs on the freeway. That's in the national parks. If you're lucky, in Yala National Park, you'll see leopard. Less likely though. You'll definitely see elephants and peacocks. On top of that, Sri Lanka is a surfer's paradise. Miles and miles of coastline, surf town after surf town, or beach town if you don't surf. Rent a scooter, explore the coast, and you can easily find your own private beach. They've got surf from beginner all the way to advanced, so rent a scooter or hop on a tuk-tuk to get to town if you need to. Sri Lanka is also known for the world-famous train ride from Ella to Kandy. Sri Lanka is filled with photogenic opportunities everywhere you turn. And it's extremely cheap. If you eat where the locals eat in, say, Colombo, I paid $1.50 for chicken and rice. Okay, 1.
Eka.
Eka.
2. Deka.
Deka. Out of all the countries on this list, one that I have not yet seen myself is Turkey. Everyone raves about Turkey. From Cappadocia to Istanbul, Turkish breakfasts, history, architecture, landscapes. Also, given the current condition of the Turkish lira, your dollar will go very far in Turkey. On my own personal list of countries I have to see, Turkey is probably number one on that list. Now, if you want an adventure and a culture shock, one of the cheapest countries in the world, India. I say culture shock because everything's different. There's no other place in the world like India. India is a vibrant, lively country, and it is an experience I promise you will never forget. Of course, you have to visit the Taj Mahal in Agra. I recommend sunrise, but you shouldn't miss the holy city of Varanasi. Cows, bulls, camels, monkeys, goats, roaming the streets of Varanasi. This is also the city where we took a small boat up the Ganges and witnessed the cremation ritual. Again, this is an experience you will never forget. If you want to get out of the cities, head south to Kerala or the northern region in the Himalayas. And since we're in the Himalayas, let's hop on over to Nepal. I was able to do an 8-day Himalayan trek in Nepal. Treks are not cheap, so that particular part is not on this list, but Nepal itself is. If you do a trek the way we did it, it's cheap. I don't recommend that. We didn't go with a guide. Kind of sketchy, but we survived. Either way, a trek in the Himalayas should be on your bucket list. You typically hike for about 6-7 hours each day, and then you stay in these tea houses, these tiny villages all along the way each night as you climb higher and higher into the Himalayan mountains. The most amazing people in the world are the porters who carry these heavy baskets of food to the tea houses every single day. This is a trip of a lifetime. There's something special about waking up and watching the sunrise over the Himalayas. Sorry, Costa Rica, you're too expensive for this list. But we have Nicaragua just to the north. I've personally spent about 8 months in Nicaragua. It has many of the same attractions that Costa Rica has, but for a fraction of the cost. When I lived in Leon, Nicaragua, I would eat street food, homemade food brought out and sold right on the street, usually around $2. Nicaragua also has great surf. You can go camping on active volcanoes and beautiful colonial architecture. Since I did promise you a country in Western Europe, let's go to Spain. Now, you're probably thinking Barcelona, Madrid, not so cheap, which is why I chose to live in Granada, home of the flamenco dancing and free tapas. Yes, free tapas. All you have to do is buy a glass of wine, a beer, or a soda, and they will bring you free tapas in Granada, Spain. As an incentive to stay longer, the second tapa is better than the first. If you end up having a few drinks on a Friday night, that's dinner and drinks for about 10 euros. While in Granada, be sure to check out a flamenco show in the Gypsy Caves, explore the beautiful neighborhood of the Albaicin, and maybe time it to where you're at the top of the Albaicin just in time for sunset tapas and wine, because from there, you will have a stunning view of the Alhambra. If you want to get away from the nightlife in Spain, head up north to the region called Asturias. This is the locals' hidden gem. Most tourists do not know about it. The southern town of Tarifa, you can literally see Africa. Hop on a 45-minute boat ride and you are in Tangier, Morocco. From Tangier, you can catch a bus to the beautiful blue town of Chefchaouen. I personally would skip Casablanca and spend my time in Marrakesh, where you will find the world-famous night market, but watch out for snakes. Really, I almost stepped on a snake. They have snake charmers all around this market. And if you're feeling froggy, hop on a camel and ride it out to the desert for a night of camping. Morocco is known for incredible food and tea. Be sure to try the couscous, tagine, and all of it. Vietnam. Good morning, Vietnam. Vietnam was my home for about 9 months. One of the cheapest countries in the world. You always see these little plastic stools everyone sits on the street to eat. These are basically little restaurants, but also on the street. Pho at a place like this is probably $1, $1.50. I believe my rent was around $220 a month, but it also included cleaning and laundry, which is standard in Vietnam. Vietnam is known for Sapa Valley, Halong Bay, the Dalat coffee region. By the way, if you didn't know, fun fact about Vietnam, they are the second largest exporter of coffee in the world. The coffee in Vietnam, by the way, is rocket fuel. It's essentially espresso, but it's iced in this little glass. It's really good. Be sure to go to Hoi An, the city of Da Nang. They have a beautiful island called Phu Quoc. My pronunciation in this video is just a train wreck. The major cities are Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, Saigon. I lived in Ho Chi Minh City. This was my commute every day. Chaos. absolute chaos. And the Vietnamese people are so kind, and you feel very safe in Vietnam. All of East Asia in general is extremely safe. Cambodia. I had such a great time in Cambodia. Cambodia is most well known for Angkor Wat in Siem Reap. This is a photographer's heaven, but it can be super crowded. Cambodia has an extremely sad history, and you can learn about the genocide that took place in this country if you go to the killing fields. On a lighter note, my favorite part of Cambodia was in Kampot. I stayed at the Arcadia Hostel right on the river in the jungle. Rope swings, slides, the blob, kayaks. From there, we rented dirt bikes and went exploring through the country, found a crabbing village. I love Cambodia. Skiing is probably the most expensive hobby you can have. With that in consideration, let's find the cheapest skiing in Europe. Bulgaria. Bulgaria is located on the Black Sea, just north of Turkey. The beautiful capital city of Sofia, they have coastal cities and ski towns. Now, ski towns are notorious for being ridiculously expensive. But I had a friend who just spent the winter in Bansko, Bulgaria. She said her rent was $220 a month because it was high season. Usually it's $180 a month. She said meals are typically $6 to $10 at a restaurant, but it's a ski town. Of course, it'll be a bit more expensive. Lift prices. The exchange rate currently is around $40 a day for an adult. And the rest of the country can be even cheaper. Bulgaria is an extremely beautiful and affordable country. We're going back to South America for Bolivia, the salt flats. If you go during rainy season, it creates the illusion of this reflection, the illusion of a mirror. If you go during the dry season, you have a field of salt that you can literally pick up. Your tour guide should know how to take these photos where, I don't have any good examples. You go off in the distance, they take the photo, and the photographer's here. The photographer has maybe a little dinosaur toy. The photographer holds the dinosaur here, you're here, it looks like the dinosaur is going to eat you, things like that. Capital city of La Paz, you can go down Death Road. This once was the deadliest road in the world as it was the main highway into the capital city. Now there's a proper highway with a paved road, not on Death Road. So it's open for you to take a a mountain bike down Death Road. I did this tour. It's plenty wide. You don't have to worry. It's not sketchy, but if you look over the edge, it's slightly terrifying, but still really cool. And of course you have the unbelievably beautiful Andes Mountains. There are a lot of adventures in nature if you're into that sort of thing. Guatemala. Guatemala can be very cheap. It's best known for the beautiful quaint town of Antigua, Lake Atitlán, and Tikal. Now, Tikal is so far away from these other destinations, you might group that together with your Belize trip. Belize is where you want to go for your snorkeling, diving, and Mayan ruins. I have several Belize videos on my channel, so watch that after this video if you're interested in the coral reef. Back to Guatemala. Antigua is known for these nighttime volcano hikes. You camp on the volcanoes. My friend was fortunate enough to see an eruption, a nighttime eruption on her hike. These are photos that she personally took. From there, hop on a chicken bus and head to Lake Atitlán. There's several spectacular viewpoints surrounding the lake and also several towns on the lake. You can check out all the little towns on the lake and see which one you like best. If you want part 2 of this video, let me know in the comment section below. I'm not finished telling you my cheap destinations list. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.